but he doesn't go after him right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient.
Right.
Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he's like at a world champions that are competing today at the highest level. He probably has the lowest punch count in the early rounds.
Yeah.
Because he just wait, but he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that.
Right back on. Body. Touch the body. Still hard sticks the body. Hard sticks the body.
A little bit of weight. I think Gervonta will beat him. Honestly, I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit, and I think he'll land.
Joe Rogan was left stunned after hearing reports that Gervonta Davis knocked out a heavyweight during a sparring session. Rogan praised Tank's explosive power and fearless precision, noting how he drops opponents right in front of him without a second hesitation. He said Davis brings a dangerous kind of excitement to every fight, the sense that at any moment he could end it with one clean shot. According to Rogan, that unpredictability is exactly what makes Tank both fascinating and terrifying for anyone who dares to face him.
You don't know whether someone's ever going to be able to figure that out or whether or not he's just going to keep cracking people.
Yeah.
So it's part of the fun of watching it. I've talked to a lot of like real boxing purists. It's like you can't rely on that style.
Right.
He's got to be busier. When he gets to the best guys, it's not going to work out. Like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Inside the gym, those who've watched Gervonta Davis train recently describe a version of him even more dangerous than the one fans see under the bright lights. Heavyweights step in hoping their size and strength will test him, but they quickly realize how wrong they are. Davis's speed, precision, and explosive power overwhelm them, leaving even the biggest men unable to withstand the sudden force he generates from his compact frame.
Body. Touch the body. Still hard sticks the body. Hard sticks the body.
Thirty seconds.
A former sparring partner of Jake Paul has come forward with a blunt warning. Gervonta Davis hits far too hard for Jake to handle. He claimed that Jake has never faced that kind of destructive power before. While Jake's confidence comes from knocking out former MMA fighters and aging boxers, the ex-partner said that confidence won't save him against someone like Davis. When Gervonta lands, he doesn't just score, he damages, he explained. According to him, Jake will soon realize he's stepped into a level far beyond his current experience. Many in the boxing world respect Jake's willingness to take risks, but this former partner insists that every risk has a breaking point, and Tank Davis is exactly that point.
Man, like every single time, people said that Jake would get finished or he would lose a fight. He obviously proved everybody wrong. But I genuinely believe this time, I think that, with Gervonta's boxing IQ and him having Jake come down a little bit of weight, I think Gervonta will beat him, honestly. I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit. And, I think he'll land. Gervonta knows how to touch his opponents. But it's interesting because when Floyd fought Logan, the size really, really made a big, impact. And you saw Floyd struggle, against a big, Ohio corn-fed, wrestling strong dude. And, I've sparred Jake and Logan before, and, they train hard.
You're picking Tank by knockout?
Look, I sparred them years ago. They're much better than when I sparred them. They're athletes. They train really hard. I think they work harder than...
Joe Rogan acknowledged that Jake Paul has played a major role in bringing younger audiences into boxing, creating excitement that many traditional promoters couldn't. But he questioned whether Jake is truly ready to face a world-class fighter still in his prime. Rogan pointed out that Jake's biggest wins have come against opponents who are retired, crossing over from other sports, or well past their peak. Gervonta Davis, meanwhile, represents elite speed, knockout accuracy, and years of top-level experience. Rogan wondered if Jake's business success can protect him from the brutal reality of the ring, a place where no cameras, followers, or fame can take punches for him. While he respects Jake's courage, Rogan believes this fight finally puts him in front of a young, dangerous opponent who's nowhere near finished.
Under 10 fights, like, what if Jake Paul knocks one of them out? Like, what if you get a guy that, like, hasn't been tested and maybe has some promise and maybe gets wrapped up in the hype and maybe gets a little nervous and this is his first chance at a big show. And Jake Paul can crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as fuck. He can crack.
But Eddie's point in that interview, and I think the point that just about every boxing aficionado would say, is that Tyrone Woodley.
Showbiz the adult offered a perspective that cuts deep into Gervonta Davis's mindset. Even if the upcoming fight carries an exhibition label, the risk of embarrassment is very real. For a boxer of Tank's caliber, reputation is everything, a lifetime built on dominance, discipline, and professionalism. Being knocked out by someone who started through online fame would unleash mocking headlines and cast doubts on his legacy. Showbiz pointed out that Davis's recent draw with Lamont Roach already gave critics ammunition, and Tank knows another misstep would only fuel their narratives. That's why he's training as if everything is at stake, because, in the public's eyes, it is. For Davis, losing wouldn't just hurt physically, it would be catastrophic to his image. He understands the stakes and is determined to make a statement so clear and devastating that it erases any trace of doubt or disrespect.
Fake fight, but it has real consequences. Let him get knocked out by Jake. Let him get embarrassed by Jake. He can't come back. He'll be made a mockery of. He done took a knee, grease in the eye, had a draw with Roach. Everybody thinks Roach was robbed, and then made a mockery of by Jake Paul, a YouTuber. Which is why Gervonta Tank Davis is on Demon Time. See, me being back on my fitness journey, I know how hard that is, especially at his size with how heavy that medicine ball is. Gervonta Tank Davis is going to go hard, pause, on that Jake Paul fight. He has to. While everybody is trying to dismiss that shit, there's a knockout bonus and everything. You got Lamont Roach calling him all these names. Tank Davis shut off his social media. He can't take y'all negativity, making him worse before the fight. He can't allow y'all to be in his head, which that's what y'all want to do. The end of Tank. And I don't. I think boxing is better with Tank involved. I always say that. If there is boxing, boxing is even better when there's more talented and skillful.
Bruce Carrington highlighted that matchups like Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, along with other celebrity professional crossovers, are breathing new life into boxing. He explained that while traditional bouts often struggle to grab a global audience, these high-profile events attract casual fans, younger viewers, and massive online communities. According to Carrington, boxing today needs more than just belts and rankings. It needs excitement, storytelling, and moments that capture attention. He argued that regardless of where people stand on the legitimacy debate, these crossover fights keep boxing in the headlines and reignite public interest that ultimately benefits the entire sport.
And like, granted, it's entertainment, right? But this is what this is, sports entertainment. This is what's going to kick butt, believe it or not. This is what's going to, bring a lot of money to the sport. Especially, we have like, people trying to say boxing is dead, boxing is dying. But, we have a whole demographic of people that don't even watch boxing, just boxing. So I like to look at it that way. Like we're making these fantasy dream matchups come to life with Floyd and Tyson, And to be honest, I'm a little biased because Floyd, he is my favorite fighter of all time, and Tyson, he is the guy that basically like made me fall in love with boxing, and he's like the icon, the myth, the legend for me. So it was like them two fighting. Yo, that's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So and then on top of that, competition, bro. It's not something to be taken serious. It's something that for the people to just enjoy and competition. It's not like they making it a sanctioned fight. Now Jake and Tank, are they making that a sanctioned fight? I think they are.
They're trying to. It's a lot of moving parts right now with them.
Yeah, so I think that's that's where certain things become an issue because now you're putting it into a serious space. You know what I'm saying? Which it shouldn't be. It's honestly sanctioned. How the heck they gonna, I don't know, bro. I don't know how the heck they gonna really pull that off, but I guess. But yeah, so man, it's kind of certain things, you got to question, but at the end of the day, it is putting more eyes on the game, keep the sport alive. And yeah, I feel like Jake, his vision, his views, it's kind of bringing like eye openings. It's kind of opening people's eyes. You know, it's funny because I genuinely don't believe.
Concerns have been growing about Gervonta Davis's mental and emotional state heading into this fight. Legal troubles, courtroom appearances, and waves of public criticism have added a heavy burden to his preparation. Davis has been vocal about wanting legacy-defining fights, the kind that elevate greatness, like a showdown with Vasily Lomachenko, rather than bouts clouded by controversy. When he faced Lamont Roach, he admitted he wasn't mentally in sync with the moment. Analysts suggest that lingering frustrations and the constant spotlight on his legal situation could test his focus as he readies for Jake Paul. Still, others believe this pressure might fuel him, turning frustration into fire. Tank seems determined to prove that no matter the headlines or setbacks, he remains one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet. The real question now is whether he'll transform that stress into performance, or allow it to chip away at his edge.
When in the lead-in to the Gervonta Davis-Lamont Roach fight, Gervonta was not actually even interested in fighting Lamont Roach. He was trying to fight Vasily Lomachenko. And Vasily Lomachenko was the guy that was going to really kind of propel him. It was the big fight that he wanted to get. But unfortunately for him, Vasily Lomachenko decided to retire instead of fighting him. So all of the time that it went into negotiating that fight with Vasily Lomachenko, where he really thought that he was going to get, that marquee fight with a fighter, in that division, it goes away, right? So what does he do? He then has to try to make a fight with somebody else. And that somebody else was Lamont Roach, somebody that he knew, somebody that was from the same area that he is, and somebody pretty much he was doing that the PBC was doing a solid for, and saying, okay, man, we really don't have an opponent, but this guy has a 130-pound title. He just beat Hector Garcia, the same guy that we beat. So boom, let's make the fight. However, that fight was originally supposed to be in Houston, and it had all kind of problems with the venue, moving the venue from here to there. It was supposed to be on one date, then it gets moved to the next date, right? And so basically it gets delayed and delayed and delayed. He also has issues with a judge over a hit and run case, and he's not allowed to leave Florida. She cites him and drags him into court because he went to DC, or he went somewhere without permission. So now, he has another threat over his head about going to jail. Just a lot of stuff on the top of that young man's head in the lead into that, to the
Inventor to an undercard fighter. And then now, worse than an undercard fighter, you're being brought in for sparring, and you're like, ooh, I get to pick Jake Paul's brain, and you like happy about being a sparring partner. For me, that wouldn't be kosher. If I was Shakur and I am who I say I am, I would be trying to build my brand as big as possible, right? Like if you want to be a big actor, you're going to get to a point where you got to start starring in the movies. You can't just keep doing cameos and showing up for 5 seconds in a movie. You'll never get to Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Will Smith, Denzel Washington. You'll never, if you're not a leading man, you'll never get to where they've been, Leonardo DiCaprio. They don't trust you with the whole movie, right? So for me, if my goal as an actor was to be a leading man and to be the top build, you got to start working towards that. And if you keep doing favors and other people's projects where you do these little bit roles and extra, you're an extra in somebody else's movie, I feel like that's a conflict of interest because it's not really going to get you towards your end goal. So that's what I'm looking at, Shakur. The branding stinks. You're literally Jake Paul's sparring partner right now, just because you don't like Tank. So, like I said in the last video, the branding sucks.
Not Tank. It's gonna actually bump up Tank. Yeah, these actions. Hey, people gonna be supporting Tank on these type of actions. You guys got to look at the big picture, man. Years ago, man, I had a chance to spar, Ricky Hatton.